Have you ever wondered how network address translation works? It's quite fascinating, really. This ingenious method of remapping one IP address space into another by modifying network address information in the IP header of packets while they are in transit across a traffic routing device is a cornerstone of our modern internet. But how does one set it up? Let's dive in. The first step in setting up network address translation involves choosing the right NAT type. There are three types: static NAT, dynamic NAT, and port address translation. Static NAT uses a 1-to-1 ratio of internal to public IP addresses. Dynamic NAT uses a pool of public addresses and assigns them on a first-come, first-served basis. And port address translation, or PAT, uses different ports on a single public IP address. The second step requires configuring the inside and outside interfaces. The inside interface is the one connected to the private network, while the outside interface is connected to the public network. This is where the magic happens. The NAT device, usually a router or firewall, translates the private IP addresses to public ones and vice versa. Next comes the creation of access control lists, or ACLs. These are rules that define which IP addresses are to be translated. They can be as broad or as narrow as necessary, depending on the needs of the network. The fourth step involves mapping the access control lists to the NAT configuration. This tells the NAT device which IP addresses to translate based on the rules defined in the ACLs. The fifth and final step involves testing the NAT configuration to ensure it's working correctly. This can be done by pinging a device on the public network from a device on the private network and vice versa. So, to recap, setting up network address translation involves choosing the right NAT type, configuring the inside and outside interfaces, creating access control lists, mapping the ACLs to the NAT configuration, and testing the setup. In conclusion, network address translation is a vital part of our modern internet infrastructure. It allows for efficient use of IP addresses, enhances security by hiding private IP addresses, and enables seamless communication between private and public networks. And though setting it up might seem daunting, by breaking it down into manageable steps, it becomes a straightforward task, even for those who aren't IT professionals. Understanding and being able to set up NAT is a valuable skill in our increasingly connected world.